Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Detroit Basketball Podcast. Today is November 16th, 2015, and your Detroit Pistons are on a four-game skid. And I am here, Mike G, with my co-host Elda,
The Piston Hater by
Big,
newbie.
Hi.
and our good buddy, and wish he was on more often, Merlin.
Whoa, I think I've only missed one. I just duck out early. But I think I've missed like one. If she was on more often, you know what? I feel the love. I do, because if I'm gone one time and you're all like, man, I wish you were here more often. That one time killed us. So, anyway.
I guarantee you that if Merlin was on more often, we'd probably have a winning record right now. Is that a shot at Merlin? So I want to start off by saying Reggie. I made a lot of claims about Reggie going into this season, from last season even. The summer and going into this season, I still don't see it. I don't see the point guard in him. I don't see I just don't see it. He's a great combo guard. He's doing a great job at point guard for the player that he is. And I think the player that he is, I think he's a shooting guard. I really do. I really believe he's a shooting guard trying to play the point guard position. And in that aspect, he's doing a good job. But for being an actual point guard, he's not really doing that great of a job. And Elda's probably got a few things to say about it. But my thing is that when is he going to turn the corner? When is this guy going to turn the corner? He's had 37 games as a Detroit Piston. 27 of them last year, 10 of them this year. And so far, he's crapped the bed, man. In my opinion, he's crapped the bed. And that's the one thing that we need from him. We even if I'm not the biggest supporter of him being a point guard of this team, he needs to step it up, man. I think it all comes down to him. He really needs to step it up. If we really want to see real progress with this team, we got to see real progress with Reggie Jackson. And right now, I think we're seeing a regression. And I don't know. I want to get you guys' take on that. When do you guys feel like he's going to start turning the ship around?
Well, I was just telling Mike earlier that I believe that only thing that really can turn it around is I think he has to come off the ball a little bit more. And if he comes off the ball, I believe that puts him more in his comfort zone. In OKC, when they ran their offense when he was running the offense there, they had a really spread offense. They didn't even have, they didn't really play with a center for real. They played with even Ibaka as center, and then they stretched the floor. And then last year, I think that it was more of, once again, this is what I was saying last year, when sometimes people being negative, but not being negative and realistic. Teams didn't care that we were winning or losing, because we were playing teams that were tanking. They don't care. They didn't lock into Reggie. They didn't play any strategy over the whole summer. Me and Mike kept on saying what teams are going to do. They're just going to pretty much say, we're not going to leave Drummond. We're not going to let you run off of pick and rolls. And we're going to let you have to prove that you can make a jumper. And they're going to let him keep on bullying his way into the basket. When he gets under the basket, he's dribbling under the basket. That's the worst place to be as a point guard, is under the basket. You lose vision of everybody around the court when you're under the basket, and you make everything difficult. So I just think he has to come off the ball a little bit more and get him moving a little bit more, screens and picks, backdoor cuts. I think he needs a few easy baskets. You see, even when he scores, it looks difficult. Think about the layups he do. They don't look like, oh, that was just an easy score. It looks difficult. And I think that over time, you're not going to be able to get all of those. And we just keep seeing it. And we've seen his shooting percent continue to drop. So I just think he needs to come off the ball a little bit more. He becomes less predictable. He can probably have a better mismatch with his speed. And it takes something off his mind that I got to be able to pass the ball more. I think he can just become more of a natural scorer, which he is a natural scorer, and he's a dynamic scorer. So I'd rather see better shot selection than worry about him trying to be a point guard, because that's just not where he's at right now. So, and teams are not going to leave Drummond. They're not going to let you run that pick and roll, those hoop ups to Drummond. They're not going to let you do it like they did in the last year. They're just not going to let it happen.
Merlin, what do you think, man?
All right, here's my take on the thing. The thing about Reggie, you got to realize, I mean, Reggie is going through a transition right now, and I'm not ready to give up on him. And let me explain why. Reggie has been jerked around for a while. His role has consistently changed. I mean, think about, and this is, I'm not saying this is why we should expect him to be a superstar, but this is why I think we need to give him more time before we start hitting the panic button. The whole thing is like this. When he was in Oklahoma City, he was utilized completely differently than he wanted to be. He wasn't even used efficiently. I mean, that's why when Westbrook went down, he was able to come in and do his thing when he started, because of that. But what happened is then he got traded to Detroit. Van Gundy used him differently, and he was flourishing for a minute there because he came right off. And then all of a sudden now all these expectations are put on him to be a point guard. So everyone's saying pass. So he spends the first few games, all the preseason, passing, trying to pass. And same thing with the first couple of games, he was passing. And Van Gundy came out and said, you know what? I want you to score. Look for your shot. Do the passing off of that. And the problem is he doesn't have enough experience doing that. So his game, Van Gundy's telling him to play a different game he's not used to playing, and he's playing with a lot of teammates other than Drummond that he's not used to playing with. I mean, KCP, don't get me wrong, KCP is in there now, but KCP's handling things, he's playing a little differently than last year. So essentially, Reggie's playing with like three new guys in Drummond, because KCP is playing a lot differently this year than he did last year. So, with that respect, I think he's adjusting a little bit more slowly than I was hoping he would be. But as evidenced by some of his bigger games earlier in the season, including that 40-point outburst, when he gets the groove, he can do it. He just needs to find a way to gel with everyone. And the thing is, there needs to be ball movement all around. The problem is when there's not enough ball movement as a team, everybody starts thinking they need to play hero ball. That's why when Morris gets the ball, he starts doing the ISO. When Drummond gets the ball, he tries to do his jump hook. When Reggie gets the ball, he goes freaking crazy like Speedy Gonzalez all over the court. The only one who's actually playing his game the way we expect him to play it is Ilyasova. And he's just doing it in less minutes and all that stuff. So, but anyway, that's my take.
Yeah, and sorry, I don't know if I agree with that, Marilyn. We wanted Drummond to be a post player. This is what we wanted. He's on, and me and Mike went back and forth about it. But he's only taking 15 shots a game, so it's not like every time he touches the ball, he's trying to do it. When he gets the ball, it's called for him to score. It's not like he's just rushing a shot. This is a run play for him. And Reggie Jackson, he is the reason why the ball is not moving. Like, if we just look at last night, when he got into the game, he's dribbling behind his back with, like, 3 people around him. Like, his mindset is not to create other players. As a point guard, or anybody, even if you want to call him a combo guard, when you put him in combo guard mode is to either score or find somebody, he's not even looking to pass. And I get what you're saying about they may not have been together for a while, and everything like that. But I'll be seeing open guys on the wing, and he's not even looking for them. Like, he's not looking to pass the ball at all. And last year at OKC, he was doing the same thing. Like, his role was literally the same. Then when he came to Detroit, once Greg Monroe was out, and the Pistons looked with that spread offense, he was flourishing in it, but it was more so flourishing because defenses didn't change. I keep telling people, they just didn't care what we were doing because we was like, he went off in the last, 10 games. Our season was already done. Go look at who he was playing. Like, that first 10 games, he was garbage. And I said, okay, he's new to the team, blah, blah, blah. Last 10 games, teams did not care what we was doing. Like, they just didn't care. And I just think it was just a matter of time. And also during that time when we was winning, a guy like, I think Anthony Tolliver was shooting like 44, 45% for threes. Like, a lot of things were just working for us. Like, then KCP started playing better. I just looked at this team, and I'm glad I do agree with the part, like, everybody's like, all of the wing players there's no connection. There's no cohesiveness between the wing players. Like, I don't see Reggie and KCP, they look like totally separate entities. They don't look like they're on the same page. It's like, I'll pass the ball to you, KCP, he does his little dribble, shoot, take it, whatever he does. I'll pass the ball to you, Morris, I'll dribble, I'll take my jumper, I'll pass the ball to you. It's like there's no person. And like I do agree, Ilyasova is literally the only person outside of Drummond who is playing within the system. Everybody else is just going, like you say, hero ball. But I can't give Reggie a pass and say he don't have the experience because he does have experience. I just think it's his skill set. I don't think he has the ability to maintain those numbers we were hoping for in the past game because teams are just playing us differently defensively. They are not going to let Drummond catch loops out there.
Well,
they don't even leave him though.
One thing I want to add to
no, I wasn't saying give him a pass. I wasn't saying give him a pass. What I was saying was don't hit the panic button yet.
Oh, no.
You mean,
yeah.
One thing I want to add to
I'm
that.
not giving him a pass.
One thing I want to add to that is that we talk about the offense looking discombobulated. Everybody's playing hero ball. There's a lot of one-on-ones going on. No one's really playing together. But, like, is it really that much different from the start of the season? I felt like the start of the season we were still seeing a lot of one-on-one stuff, but we were winning. I want to say, and I didn't look up the numbers. I meant to look up the numbers.
Our defense was better.
That's what I was going to say.
Defense.
That was exactly where I was going to go. What the fuck happened? Like, our defense just got exposed on the West Coast, man. I mean, in every single game, we were getting outscored. I mean, even the games that we won in Phoenix and Portland, we were getting destroyed, man. Both Knight and Bledsoe had 20-point games, and we were down 18 points at one time to Portland. I mean, we were getting exposed defensively. So I want to say, like, that was the one big thing that really, really helped us get off on a fast start, is that we were playing some gritty defense, and our rebounding was strong. You know what I mean? It was really the difference maker, I feel like, in a lot of these games, and it just wasn't here during this West Coast trip.
Hey, Mike,
go ahead.
Let me jump in on that real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Teams, and this isn't tacky KCP because I don't want nobody to hear this and be like, here you go again. Teams were shooting a lot more jumpers against us early. And then teams started attacking the rim. And I don't know what's going on with Jackson. I don't know if Jackson, I promise that. Something about Jackson I don't get. But, he's like 6'3", he's like 205, he's super athletic, and all these type of stuff. But it seems like he has no awareness on defense. Guys just go past him. Like, he's not even trying.
He has a 7-foot wingspan. He has a 7-foot wingspan. Let me add that.
If you was to build a perfect defensive point guard, he would look like Reggie Jackson. They would look like Reggie Jackson, with the same abilities. But mentally, I don't know if he's checking out on defense. it's every game I'm seeing guys blow past them. And then me and you, like we had a conversation earlier, if guys are always penetrating, if you're going to go with a small lineup like we do, Ilyasova, although he's a power forward, he really plays like a small forward. If you're going to go with this type of lineup, the problem with this type of lineup is a lot of responsibility falls on Drummond to do everything. Once the person gets past the free throw line, Drummond has to now make a decision. If I go up for this, we talked about it earlier, if I go for this shot block, or if I step outside the paint, not only can I give up an easy dump-off pass to the big man for a dunk, if I step up to the point guard, he can pass off to the big man for the dunk. If I foul him, I can get myself in foul trouble. If he gets the shot up off the rim and misses, I'm out of position to rebound. That's a lot of processing. Back to back to back to back to back. At some stage, it's got to be like these wing players. They have to do better at defending. They don't do a good job at defending cuts either. They just don't. And I don't know what has happened, but I think teams have just decided we're just going to attack the Pistons in hopes that we'll get Drummond in foul trouble. I feel like that's what teams are saying. Let's get Drummond out
I
here.
think that's exactly. I think that's exactly what's going on, to be honest with you. And I'm glad that you brought up Reggie Jackson's lack of defense, because I really, really hope the pro Reggie guys will stop using the Jennings sucks at defense. Because Reggie's no different, man. He's not any better. You know what I mean? This whole lack of defense from the point guards, it does not change from Reggie to Jennings. They're both, in my opinion, they're both about equivalent. They're both equivalent.
I showed those numbers last year. I put up the little numbers. I said that the defense, it showed that Jennings was actually playing better defense. Our defense was better when Jennings was in versus Reggie. Jennings had really stepped up his game a lot defensively, and he's quick and he's quick-handed. He stays in front of his man better. Jennings had a problem with people bullying him, like being physically stronger than him. Reggie Jackson is having a problem just staying in front of guys. So it's it's happening quicker. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, and I don't even understand why Stan has never said nothing about it. Like, I don't know. It's that frustrating to see your whole defense just kind of fall apart at the point of attack. The point guard in the shooting guard position is the point of attack position. So if they can, even with KCP, he had a great game against Carey. He stayed aggressive with Carey. He was aggressive. He was in his face and everything like that. Carey missed shots that he can normally make, but I'm gonna award KCP and say great game. That's a great win. Chalk that up on your board. That's your victory. You did a great job. Although we lost that game by 15 points, you did a great job. But then you come back 2 games later, and then Jamal Crawford goes off for 37. The game before that, the guys going off for 20, and then the game before that, guys getting 18 and 20. And then even against the Utah Jazz, he had a great block on Hood at the end, but guys are still beating them off the dribble, getting into the paint, getting to the free throw line. So I think that, I don't know if KCP is like one of those big-time challenge guys, like if he played, who we got next? Like, I'm saying Kyrie Irving is playing. Yeah. But if he, like I said, we were playing like Dwayne Wade or a James Harden, and then maybe that gets in like, oh, I'm going to shut down Dwayne Wade. I'm going to shut down James Harden. I'm going to put my all in it. But then when he faces a guy like Gordon Hayward, he doesn't have that turn-on switch. And you see, I watch him get light up. I'm not saying he doesn't play with tenacity. He does. But still, some of the stuff he does is he relies a lot on his ability, but not on his skill and technique. And I think that sometimes that can be taken advantage of. So, I don't know. Only person I see in this whole team that I feel good about from day one to right now is just Drummond. And it's scary because, I'm not saying Drummond's going to change his mind, but all of a sudden, Drummond is starting to get a lot of praise, high praise, and high recognition from a lot of people around the league. And, you got Doc Rivers calling him unstoppable. You have Kobe giving him praise. You have other players saying he's an all-star and they're just 10 games in. You got all this type of stuff going on. And then you start to look around. I don't care who you are. Eventually, you start to look around the corner and you say, okay, where these pieces at, where these, if I'm an all-star, I'm so great, why nobody else stepping up? It happens to the best of them, so I'm hoping that some other people start to step up. I know Drummond has a lot of loyalty. He says all the right things, but I've seen it happen I've seen it happen enough in the NBA to say, let's try and get Drummond signed like tomorrow. Let's go ahead and get him his contract. Go ahead and lock him in now and not play with it. So I'm just not happy with it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to interject real quick before we switch to Drummond because I feel like we should talk a little bit about Drum. But, Merlin, I got a question for you since you're, I don't know if you're pro Reggie or you're neutral Reggie. You're definitely not against Reggie. But my question is, for you, Merlin, when do you hit the panic button on Reggie? When will that point be? I'm not saying I'm hitting the panic button on Reggie, but there is definitely a point of concern for him, in my opinion. Because I'm not ready to trade Reggie. Like, even if Reggie bombs it for the next 2 months, I'm not ready to give up on him. Like, I really feel like he'll make a decent point guard, maybe not a starting point guard, but I think he'll make a great shooting guard. And I think that the team really needs a scorer at the 2 position. So, my thing is though is that I wouldn't want to trade Reggie. I think he definitely got some nice skill sets. I just don't think they're at the point guard position. So, Merlin, my question for you is, when do you hit the panic button on Reggie? When do you feel like that point is where you're just like, okay, Reggie's just not that guy? When will that time come?
I think I'll see it when.
Oh.
Never.
Never?
The dude could shit his pants on the court and never score another point, and I would still think we should have paid him even more money.
Oh, oh man.
So, I'll hit the panic button when we have a stretch where we're still losing at home against inferior teams. And not just inferior teams, but other teams as well.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because on the road, on this West Coast, what do you call it?
Swing.
On the road,
yeah.
it's a little different on a West Coast swing like we dealt with.
Right.
That right there screws a lot of people up. And even
Absolutely.
Now, don't get me wrong. When the going to work Pistons didn't have that problem on that road, but that was a unit that had been together. They had fought together. They bled together. They won the title. That team walked on the court, and it didn't matter where they were playing.
Well,
you could have gone back in time and played in the Coliseum. They were still going to win. And this is a new team, and I think it's just screwing them all up. I really do. The West Coast trip screws a lot of teams up. Even the best teams hope to go 3-3 on they're okay. Even the best teams are okay with 3-3. Like, even the best ones are not happy about it, but they don't flip out on a 3-3. Right. We're a new team who hasn't made the playoffs, and we came out of it 4-2. Those losses were ugly, but the victories were good. So it could go either way. We just need the balance. So when this type of situation continues at home against shitty teams, then that's when I'll be more open to the panic button. Okay. I'm just not ready to do it now.
Right.
Because that West Coast swing screws everyone up. I mean, we went 0-6 on it last year. We went 0-6 on it last year.
The year before too.
Huh?
I think we went 0-6. I think we went 0-6 the year before as well. We definitely did 3 years ago. I know for sure. The post I put up, I know for sure we went 0-6 3 years ago. I know that's for sure. So, yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that. Honestly, in all honesty, I do agree.
For the past few years, on those West Coast road trips, the Pistons played worse than I play hockey. And that's pretty darn bad.
But isn't that kind of like the cop out thing like 3 years ago when the team is not even the same? We don't have the same coach. It's not, to me, you got to look at the talent that we played against, not necessarily the road trip. We played a Portland team, and we got the win, but we played a Portland team with no LaMarcus Aldridge. We played a Lakers team with a beat-up Kobe. Like, we played Kobe was like a beat-up Kobe. We lost to a Sacramento team, that had only, 1 or 2 wins. So West Coast, East Coast, wherever we go, there's certain games you're just supposed to win. I mean, there's certain games that if you are the more talented team, you need to take it. And I can get us losing to the Clippers, but we lost to a Clippers team without Redick and Chris Paul. Yep. So these are all winnable games. So those 4 games we lost, it wasn't a game in there that I looked at and said, we're not gonna win this one. I mean, Golden State was the only one that I looked at. Well, I said we were gonna win it, but that was more about being a homer. But the other ones, other than Golden State, those are all winnable games. So I can't say, because the West Coast swing. That's not even the scary swing for teams. The scariest swing for teams is when you play Dallas, Houston, and the Spurs. That's the one that's scary team. Nobody's worried about the Lakers, or the Lakers and Sacramento, or even right now Portland. Like, nobody's worried about those teams. The only teams over there on that West Coast is really Golden State. And I know you're saying now the back-to-backs are crazy. I give you that, the back-to-back. But I'm a good person. I don't look at things that happened back then if you have a totally different team and you're facing totally different caliber of talent. Like, we were the more talented team. So I just think that we lost the game to the Clippers because Stan didn't want to foul DeAndre Jordan. If he had fouled DeAndre Jordan, I know you don't like it, but strategically.
I know you heard me.
I know. Yeah, because I read your stat. I remember you said no, and I get what you're saying. Did
you read that article?
No, I didn't read the article.
Did you read that article I posted? Oh, my God, this guy.
Hey, guys.
This guy wrote a phenomenal article, and I looked it up and found it.
Guys, give me 15 minutes.
And I posted.
Give me 15 minutes. Go ahead and continue on. After this, segue into Drummond, and we'll get to talking about that. But give me 15 minutes. Go ahead. I'll be right back.
All right.
So anyway, where were we? Oh yeah. First of all, you got to realize there's a lot of things people don't take into consideration when it comes to that West Coast swing, and I know a lot of it has to do with the teams and whatnot. But just take this as an example. Have you ever? And I don't know what you do, but have you? Well, I'm trying to think of an example here, but look at it this way: the Pistons are on a clock. They're on a schedule. Every game they play at home is almost the entire time they play at the same time. Every time, always 7:30. Anytime they play an East team, unless it's Washington, it's always 7. Every single time, over and over and over, always. And what happens is when you're an athlete and you put yourself in those rigorous schedules, what happens is you have a sleep schedule, you have an energy schedule, and that's just the way your body functions. So now all of a sudden, what's happening is when you go on those West Coast trips, your body still wants to wake up. I know it happens to me too, and I'm not an athlete. Every morning, I wake up every morning, 6, 7 in the morning for work, every single morning. On my days off, it doesn't matter if I'm up till 4 o'clock in the morning. My ass is waking up at 7 in the morning, and it pisses me off. But that's just how it works. So you've got these players that, now all of a sudden they're still most likely waking up earlier because of that internal clock that I guarantee their trainers are pushing on them, because it's very important for you to keep your body in tip-top shape. So they're waking up at an earlier time. They're expending more energy for a couple of hours and before the game, and they're playing the game at a later time than they normally would be used to, 3 hours later. And then to top it off, after that, they're still waking up roughly that same earlier time that their bodies are programmed to wake up at. So I'm not saying that, is the whole reason, obviously, but that's one factor why so many East teams struggle with the Western swing. And I know one common thing is people are like, well, when the West comes to the East, they don't have as much of a problem. Well, one of the reasons for that is because since the West time frame is different, to them, all they're doing is playing a little bit earlier in the day when they actually have more energy, which actually works in their favor. So they're coming out, you know what I mean? So when you balance the two, they actually have a very big advantage when it comes to that. And this is something, huh?
No, I get all of that. I really do. I get all of that. I mean, I didn't read the article, but I get
No, this has nothing to do with the article.
Oh,
this has
okay.
nothing to do with the article. This is,
okay.
What I'm talking about is why the West Coast trip is such an issue with Eastern teams, and this is this is part of I don't know if you know this to the degree that I'm. Huh?
Oh, go ahead.
Huh?
Go ahead, finish up.
No, I mean, my degree that I'm working on is exercise science.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of the things that I study is all this shit, and so it really is a fascinating subject. But beyond that, though, there's the other thing you wanted to talk about, and that was one thing I wanted to mention, why the West Coast, why it doesn't freak me out as much. What freaks me out is if they lose. Because remember, when you don't have a lot of sleep and your internal clock gets thrown off, that screws you up mentally, whether you admit it or not. And that may be, because remember, Reggie wasn't playing terribly until a couple days into the trip. And I think it wore on him, but we won't know till after we get a couple days of rest and whatnot. Now, the other question that you had was about the fouling. And the fouling, that's just something that I think is bad for the game overall. And Stan Van Gundy, he agrees. I mean, to be able to beat a team that does that to you is the ultimate slap in their face. Now, Drummond does need to learn to make those free throws, and I think he'll get back on track once he has a couple days of working with Hoopla, because Hoopla doesn't go on the road trips with them. But he, but the whole fouling thing is something that it's meant to be a last-ditch effort. And the thing is, these teams that like to start doing it in the third quarter just to build a lead or whatever, I mean, you do it when there's nothing else to do. You do it when there's no other way to win. You play the right way. I guarantee you Larry Brown wouldn't have done it. Any coach that preaches by it. Now, Popovich has done it before, but only if he was down in a series. And he was actually absolutely critical.
I think that if you started it, it's silly because this is how I feel. I get it. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. It could be a cheat win. It doesn't teach teams, blah, 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 blah. But if a coach like Doc Rivers, who's a championship coach, he's not some Bush League coach who's just trying to scrap out a win. He's not a first-year rookie coach. He's not a guy who's fighting for his coaching life. He's doing this to get back into the game. You see what he's doing. He's doing it, and then he has a player on his team that's just like the player on your team that you could go back and do the same thing too and put it back. What he allowed to happen was we're up by 12 points. At one point, we was up by 12. They foul Drummond. Drummond misses 2. They come back down to end. Crawford hits a 3. We're now down by 9. They foul Drummond. Drummond makes 1 or 2. They come back down and they score a bucket. Now they're down by 8. Drummond misses 2. They come hit it 2. Now they're down by 5. He said, "Oh, let me take Drummond out the game." Then the whole offense totally falls apart. While they are continue to keep DeAndre Jordan, who's there to be a defensive stopper. They don't care DeAndre Jordan, and he had like 16 rebounds that game. So you allow one of their most effective players to stay in the game while you kept taking out yours. I think that when you allow that to happen, that's just bad coaching because he could have easily did the same thing back to DeAndre Jordan put them in the free throw where they make a miss. Now, if DeAndre Jordan goes to that line, he's hitting it back and forth. But then it also sends a message to Doc Rivers that if you're going to do this to us, we're going to do the same thing to you. So if you're going to cause me to take Drummond out of the game, I'm going to cause you to take DeAndre Jordan out of the game. It would have hurt them more to take DeAndre Jordan out of the game at that point when we're up by 10 points. So I think strategically, it was just a bad call. Even if you want to say, oh, this was, a gutsy win and da-da-da-da. And, I don't think strategic, you just have to do that. I'm sorry, you just have to. If they're going to do that.
I just feel like when you do that, I mean, and honestly, I would rather the loss. I hate to say it, I'd rather the loss than to do that, because my whole thing is like this: when you do that early in the game, regardless of what the other team is doing, you're sending a message to your players that you don't trust them to hold down the fort. You don't trust them to do this.
No, I don't. I don't, because strategic. If you look at it, we lose games when Drummond is not in the game. So when Drummond is up the game, but that was the whole point of Doc Rivers fouling. Doc Rivers was fouling him, saying, I'll take the chance that Drummond is not going to make 50% of these free throws. He's not making it, and I'm also going to take the chance that we're going to be able to score. So they're scoring because Crawford was hot. So I don't think he does this if Crawford was cold or Blake Griffin, but these two players were hot. So he rolled a hot hand. He said, I'm going to take away possessions from the Pistons. I'm going to take these possessions away from you and put the ball into two players that are hot on my team. That's just Doc Rivers literally out-coached Stan. He played against Stan's own common sense of goods. Like, he used his own morality against them. So I can't say, oh, that was a moral victory or moral loss. No, that was just silly because he allowed us to take us out of our flow of the game. It was just a numbers game. All Doc Rivers did was play a numbers game.
I don't know what it is. Van Gundy.
I think if we did it, I think it would have been ugly. Like, we was up by 10, and we said, oh, let's protect this lead, so we're going to foul DeAndre Jordan. Then, yeah, that's a cop-out. But to know what they had going on, to know what they was doing, and then you took Drummond out the game, the moment you took Drummond out, Doc Rivers won. The moment you took Drummond out, all Doc Rivers won it.
I don't see it that way at all, because I think this is a psychological thing, and I guess it really just comes down to who you are and what your beliefs are on the subject. But my thing is like this. I mean, the morality of your team matters more than anything, whether you win or not. And I don't mean the morale just with winning that game, but morale in general. And the thing is, when you take a player and you start having them foul, if you're going to do that, what Doc Rivers did, and I disagree with this, especially so early in the game, is he brought in bench players, obviously, to commit the fouls. The problem is what you're doing. Van Gundy holds his players in high regard. He holds them accountable for their flaws and their mistakes, but he holds them in high esteem. And the thing is, when you send in a player to do that, you're doing one of several things. One, you're sending a message to your team that you don't have faith in them successfully negotiating the win without doing this cheap thing. We have to stoop to the other team's level in order to beat them. Where, the thing is, if you're good enough, then you can do it despite them pulling those tactics.
Well,
the second thing you're doing, that's the point, though, is you have to at least show your team you believe they could be. Or else what you're doing is you're sending the message that you don't have faith in them. And when you have an established team, like the Clippers, maybe you can get away with it. But you're talking about a bunch of new faces being thrown together. Now you're already saying you don't have faith. And then secondly, the player he sends. Secondly,
if I was a player, I wouldn't trust the coach.
Secondly, the player that you send in is automatically going to feel like you don't hold him in high regard at all because you're just risking him just using him to foul people, which unfortunately is.
But if I pull, okay, like if we pulled in, what is his name? Number 50, the center who our backup center. I'm sorry, his name. He used to play for the Miami.
Yeah, Joel Anthony.
Okay, we pulled Joel. That will be Joel Anthony's role. His role is to be the third guy off the bench to get the guys in foul trouble. That's his value for the Pistons. Crunch time, we need you in this crunch time situation. All I'm saying is, I get what you're saying, but to me, if I was a player on that team and I'm watching what's going on, I'm like, why are you allowing this to happen? Like, we're losing this game because of you. And we could have won this game. Like, we could have ended this road trip at 6-4 instead of 5-5. Or potentially, we would have had momentum going into the second game and ended in a 7-3. Like, we could have broke this streak. We wouldn't be on a 4-game loser streak, all because of these things. I hear what you're saying about confidence and the psychological aspect. I really do. I get it. And I was thinking that too. But at some point as a coach, you got to put that on the side. Because what happens is if a team lays out this strategy for us for the rest of the season, you know what they're going to say? Van Gundy is so stubborn that we can do this all game, and he's going to just keep drumming in. He's going to pull Drummond out and put him main because he's not going to try. It's like it sets a bad standard for the other teams in the league to say, what if we play another team that is a poor free throw shooting center or power forward, and they get to stay in the game, and then they can foul Drummond and kick him out? I just think that it's a bad standard. And I don't think Van Gundy is a bad coach. I think he's a stubborn coach. He's so stubborn that when Spencer Dinwiddie was playing well, lights out. We can't argue this. He was nearly perfect that game. Every time he stepped on the floor, I think he only missed like 2 or 3 shots that game. He only had 1 turnover and all this other stuff. But then you're gonna pull him out, and then you put what his name back in. Then you wait till the league gets all the way up to 10. Then you pull Reggie Jackson and put Spencer back in. Like, some of this stuff is just stubborn coaching that you're just not allowing the flow. And he did this before. It's like when he left that lineup in, was it against the Pacers? When he left the bench in? Go ahead, Dickie.
No, I was just saying the 43, when they scored 43 and we scored 2. That was the Pacers.
Yeah, literally, he kept the bench out there. Like, it was cringing. It was like ugly watch. He just kept, like, there's a moral lesson in it. Sure, we can play through it. We're tough. But in this moral lesson, you lose a game. So it's like, it makes the players start to question you as a coach. Like, what's the purpose behind this? Because you could have brought your starters back in, at least stop the bleeding. At least stop the bleeding. So I don't know. It's just different.
At the end of a trip like that, unfortunately, you do have to make sacrifices on those trips. And the fact of the matter is, those the starters were ridiculously spent. I mean, they were spent.
I'm talking about the Pacer game.
Completely.
Not the Pacer game. The Pacer game, that was only like the third game of the season.
You're talking about okay.
I'm talking about.
You know what? That's the one game. Yeah, I wasn't able to catch all of the Pacer game. I know what happened. I caught part of it, but I have still, in 5 years, I have not missed an entire game, but I've missed parts of some. Pacers game, unfortunately, was one of them.
Now, I know the game you're talking about, and I agree. Yeah, I know the game you're talking about. You're talking about that when you talking about against it wasn't Golden State when we kind of got back in it, but the team was like, you already knew they were really dead tired. They was like really drained. Yeah, I agree. You don't throw them back into that because there was, we could make an argument that they maybe could have made a run, but fatigue, I got that. I agree with that. But some of the decisions he's made, now maybe there's a psychological thing he's trying to get across to them, but it's costing you wins, and you don't know how players are going to respond to things. Just like these comments he's made this last game, like he made a comment about Drummond, he need to learn from Roy Hibbert. He made the comment. That to me, that was a very I was sharing with Mike earlier, I feel like that was more of a psychological thing. I think he was trying to humble Drummond because Drummond has getting a lot of praise from around the league, and everybody's telling him how great he is. Everybody calling him an all-star. Everybody's saying all these high things, and I think Stan hears him. You know, Kobe's calling him, saying he's great. Stan sees Doc Rivers calling him great. Stan sees these articles saying Drummond's the next dominant big man. So I think Stan steps up and says, oh, let me hear him humble this. He needs to learn how to protect the rim. Like, let me bring him down to earth. But I feel like that was an unwarranted shot at Drummond because Drummond has literally been on everything. I don't think this so far this season, there's only 10 games, but I haven't seen Drummond take a play off. I haven't seen him moping. I haven't seen him halfway playing. I've seen him, you know, try. I have yet to see it. You know, Dickie had talked about it on another call because she didn't want to see Drummond moping or playing halfway. So far, only 10 games. I haven't seen him take plays off. Even when we were getting blown out early, like against Portland, he was still the hardest player on the game. Like, he was playing hard. So, I don't know. I just didn't like that.
Did you watch the interviews?
Only this little blurbs. I didn't see the whole thing.
Because they cut out a lot. And everything was completely taken out of context the way they did it. The Drummond one, I haven't seen the whole thing on. But, like, the Reggie one, everyone was making it sound like he made it sound like he threw him under the bus and everything. And he really he didn't. When they explained it, you know, when they redid it and everything, they made it sound like he was just talking mad shit about Reggie and acting like he was bad and everything, because they cut out some important things that he said to put it into context. So I don't know if maybe there was anything he did to put it into context for that other one, or if he just flat out said that Drummond basically, like, can't protect the rim. That would,
and I do know that sometimes they, you know, they cut articles and they say little things. But I just feel like sometimes Stan, he goes back into that old school coaching method, and he kind of says things just kind of, you know, off his, you know, maybe just like take little shots, and he's trying to use it as motivation, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It all depends on who the players are and how much they trust you, and that's my part, like, how much do they trust them? Because you know what? Shot,
I think they trust him.
Go ahead.
I think they trust him. I think they trust him. Here's one thing. I will interject one thing, and then I'll give back to you. Remember one thing. If Van Gundy was coming out here and calling out his players and talking about how they needed to step it up, that would be one thing if he just did that. But remember, this is a coach who multiple times this year has put the blame on himself and said, you know what, the guys did what I told them to do. I didn't make the right substitutions. Maybe I left this player out a little too long. Maybe I didn't pull this guy. I made the mistake. He puts it on himself so much so that when he throws them under the bus, or, you know, when he takes a shot at them, they don't take it as offense. They don't take offense to it. They listen to it, because half the time he's out there going, I got out-coached. I made a mistake. I did this wrong. He holds himself accountable just as publicly as he holds his players accountable. And because of that, I think that when he says stuff like that, I don't think it knocks them off a pedestal or anything like that. It basically just reiterates where they are. Because the thing is, and I know it sounds crazy to say that out loud, everyone's like, oh, you know, he shouldn't be saying that in public. Well, the thing about it is you need to let your fans know that you see the same things they see. You need to if you just say it behind that closed doors, fans start going, the coach doesn't even know anything. I mean, he's out there saying Drummond's the greatest and he never does this and never does that. He doesn't even see what's going on. And the fact of the matter is he does. But that's how, if you look at bad coaching, or if you look at coaching mistakes by other teams, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. And so the coaches are out there publicly talking about the players all the time, and you never know, you know, but they're always saying they're great, and they did this, and maybe they need to work here or there, but overall they're all right, blah, blah, blah. Well, and then the fans are, you know how it is with us when we had some of our old coaches that didn't hold their players accountable. We were like, what the fuck? How can you sit there and say, oh, it's all good, no big deal? Well, he's out there saying that because he knows the team needs the support of the fans. They need them. And if he's out there going, oh, yeah, no, Drummond was, he's good, he blah, 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 and just let it go, fans are going to go, wow, does he even know he needs to work on that area? But he says, you know what, he's not real good at rim protecting. He's not a good rim protector at all. He needs to learn a little bit more. He always praises Drummond all the time. This time he comes out and points out a flaw. And what happens is it shows us as fans that he is seeing it. He is seeing it. He knows what's going on, and he's holding his players accountable. And that makes fans more trusting in his coaching and in the team.
I wouldn't say my thing is, this is me, now who I am, not who Stan Van Gundy is, and not who you are. This is how I am.
Mm-hmm.
I see Drummond as the only player who is consistently doing what needs to be done consistently. I ain't saying perfectly. I'm not saying for consistently. You look around the rest of the team, I mean, the numbers don't lie. KCP is shooting like garbage. Reggie Jackson is turning the ball over like garbage. Got Morris just pulling up, shooting threes, bad shots all the time. I would say more to them, because that's what I see as a fan. I see Drummond hustling. I see Drummond really, really overworking. Even, Irsan, look at the charges he takes. He sacrifices his body. Even, I'm like, how many charges he get a game? He get like 2 to 3 charges a game. Like, he's sacrificing his body all the time. I wouldn't take a shot at those two. I would say it about the players who are not performing. That's what makes me believe that the stuff that Stan said, and we can move on because I do want to ask a question to you about Drummond. The stuff that Stan said, I feel like it was more to counter all of the stuff that people are the media is starting to say about Drummond. I feel like it was a counterpunch to all the media things that's kind of he may feel like, and I don't know how Drummond acts in the locker room, he may feel like Drummond is now, if they're pumping his head up so much that he had to deflate it a little bit. So that's like for me on our side. But overall, the first 10 games, how do you feel about Drummond, his progress as a player, from what you've seen from him as a rookie? Like back when he had, who was his rookie coach? Was it Lawrence?
No, I think it was Kuster.
So? No, he hasn't been in the league that long.
No, it was Lawrence. It was Lawrence. It was Frank.
This is his 4th year, right?
Yeah, so it goes Frank, then it goes to
yeah, I was thinking it was his 5th year. No, it's his 4th year, yeah.
Yeah, so what do you think about him?
Frank.
Yeah, what do you think about him from his rookie to see where he is a rookie to see now? Is he right now the player you thought he would become, or is he better than the player you thought he would become?
I always thought he had a lot of potential.
Mhm.
Like I really did. I always thought that he had a lot of potential, and I think that he just needed the right coach. So I think his progression is slower than I would have liked, but this year I think it's on par. He's taken a bigger leap than many people expected him to, but that's to make up for the lost years, to be honest, in my opinion.
Dickie, you on the line?
Yeah, I'm here.
What you think?
About Drummond. Well, I think that a lot of this weak play on the other players is really kind of unfair. I don't think he's backing down from it, but I think it's unfair for him to be like, he's not even at 100%. He has played basically like 175%. Because, and this is one, I forgot what, I think it was after one of the wins that we got recently, but they interviewed KCP, and I love him, whatever. But he's like, well, Andre is so important because, he's going to rebound. We need those rebounds, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you can rebound too. It's not like it's like against the law. You get a foul if you rebound. I mean, if more Pistons jumped them looking at it, maybe that would relax Drummond a little bit. He could focus on one aspect of his game that he needs to develop. So, I think so far with this year, for this 10-game stretch, for Drummond, I'm very happy about what I've seen so far because he shows poise. One thing that is a lot different, besides the fouls, when he's out there, I can tell he's like learning the rules. Like he's like, I can't take a step because that is travel. I have to keep. I can see him like other teams pushing him to panic, and he's keeping a cool head, and I love it. So I think he's a little bit overworked. I think there are areas that he can improve, but he can't improve them until other people step up and do what they can do. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with him for the first 10. Yeah.
Okay. Tough question, but I want you guys to think about it, and I want you to think about a person. I don't want to hear team. I don't want team to be the answer. This 4-game losing streak. If you had to put it on one person, who would it be on?
This is such a
I don't want to hear the team stuff. I don't hear that team stuff. I want to hear a person name.
This is a trap question. You are trying to set somebody up, man.
Joel Anthony.
It's definitely Jerebko. If I had to put any blame on anybody, it'd definitely be Josh Smith. I still blame him for a lot of stuff.
No, I know who. Brandon Jennings.
For not playing.
Exactly.
Right.
You know what though?
I want serious answers. For this 4-game losing streak, we had a lot of players not step up. If any one of these several players had stepped up, I do not believe we would have lost 4 games in a row. So identify somebody for this 4-game losing streak.
You ready for mine?
I'm ready.
Your boy, Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond.
Oh, okay.
He didn't go 40 for 40 like I was expecting him to.
40 for 40.
He didn't even get 18 points through any of the games.
I know.
He was a disaster.
I'll be honest. I really, you know what? I'm kind of torn because it's great with me. I'm kind of putting it on 2 people. Mm-hmm. But if I had to absolutely pick one, since I have no choice but to pick one, I'm going to go with Reggie Drummond, Reggie Jackson. Because normally I was, because it's torn. I hate to say it, like if I had to put it on one, it's going to be Jackson first, Drummond second. And the reason I say that is because Jackson, in this streak, after we lost the first game, he started trying to do everything himself. And the problem is, when you don't look for other players, what you end up doing is you don't give them the chance to fail. And so nobody else could be on the list of reasons if they don't get a real chance to even do anything. What happens is he's sitting there trying to look for the best opportunity, dribbling out the clock. Then at the last second, he's kicking it out to somebody for a contested shot. And unfortunately, it makes certain players' numbers go down. Morris has been shooting terribly, but how many of those came from last-second passes to Morris from Jackson, who ran out of clock and couldn't figure out what to do? And that's not me making an excuse for Morris. I'm just saying a lot of that, for some reason, Jackson likes to kick it to Morris for that. Same thing with, he likes to drive into the lane. And the thing is, they're starting to realize that move. So when he tries to do his spin move off the back, they're blocking it, or they're pushing him out of bounds. And I hate to say it, like I said, I mean, I'm not hitting the panic button on Reggie. I think he's got a good opportunity, but
right.
you can't you can't have 5 turnovers a game. That right there,
and 4 assists.
Right. I mean, when your turnover to assist ratio is that bad.
Yeah, let me jump in on that real quick, and then I want to hear from Dickie. I heard somebody say...
Hey, my girl just got here, so I'm going to bounce out after you speak.
Oh, no, I'll be real quick then. I heard somebody say...
Yep, that, she got here with our food, so...
oh, man. Westbrook averages 5 turnovers a game. But I'm like, Westbrook also averages like 27 points. He shoots like 47% from the field, and he averages like 10 assists. So Westbrook, yes, he had 5 turnovers, and so does Harden. Harden averaged like 30. So when people compare him, but I just think it's just terrible comparison when they say that. Like, these other players are doing so much more than what he is doing right now. So, yeah, but all right, Merlin, I didn't want to hold you too long, man. Thanks for tonight. Very great.
Thank you, Merlin. Really appreciate
it. Hey, great conversation, man.
Definitely.
Always good being here.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Take care, fellas.
Thank you, man.
Hello.
All right, Dickie. If you had to put it on one person, who would it be?
Yeah. I don't. We got more stats. What?
And we just talking about the 4-game losing streak. We're not talking about the season being over. We're not talking about trading anybody or firing anybody. But just, if you had to put it on one person, who would it be?
All right. Well, only because, in my opinion, when you are given basically the crown of the team, then I expect you to do something with it. And I'm like, maybe I didn't believe that certain people are worth $80 million for 5 years. I'm like, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just been watching a different person all this time. And I'm not quite new to basketball, but I was like, okay, well, prove me wrong. Okay, like I'll sit and I'll watch and I've been watching him now from open practice through exhibition to now to the 4-game streak, and I'm just like, I just don't see it. Yeah, I'm picking him because I expected him to be able to do, like some guy said behind me at a game once, goes, oh, Reggie's going to come on in the second half. He's going to, whatever the slang is, he's going to bust it out. I don't know, something like that. And I'm just like, oh, he better, because that's what he's paid to do. I'm seeing it. Saw it once. And then people made a big deal about it that he did it. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's what we pay him to do. So, like, one game should not set the performance for, like, this guy for the rest of the season. He's got to be consistent. And so I'm putting it on him. Yeah, I'm putting it on Reggie.
You still with us?
So, all joking aside, I started off this podcast with him, and all joking aside, it really is Reggie. I mean, I'm not blaming him for everything, but I guarantee you, if he was playing at an optimum level, meaning that he would get those 7 assists a night that everybody was projecting him to have, and his turnovers were down to 4. 4 and 5. That's what people don't get. 4 turnovers to 5 is a big difference. That's the difference. If you average 4 turnovers a game the whole season, and the next guy averaged 5 turnovers a game the whole season, that's a difference of 82 turnovers. That's huge. That's a huge difference. Yeah. So, like, even...
And that also means you had some 6 turnover games in there, too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
In the law of averages, you've had more than that, and then you've had some less than that, but when it comes down to it, you are probable of turning it over 5 times at least a game, So
right.
My thing is that if he could cut it down to 4 turnovers, and if he would have had if he would have been averaging 6 to 7 assists, I think we would have had a winning record on the road. I really do, because everything runs through him. Everything runs through Reggie. Reggie's
and I think I did a stat about that. Yeah, I think that Reggie is like, I'm even thinking back to the game last night. Like, if he had limited just one of those turnovers, just one less turnovers in the fourth quarter, I'm not saying the Lakers don't win the game, but in that stretch, they wouldn't have went up for that lead. And you never know what can happen when it goes from 3 to 1 point, from 1 point to them up by 2, from them up by 2 to up by 3. It's so many, you know what I mean? It just becomes a law of numbers and all that type of stuff. So, yeah, definitely. But my person who I blame is Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He started the season on all super duper hot. Everybody talking about, oh, look at the new KCP. Oh, look at the new KCP. He is the same player. Game in, game out. He's streaky. He's unpredictable. He's unreliable. He misses open shots sometimes, and then sometimes he gets hot. He makes a hot shot. Everybody then go back and they just think about that one game that he had in the first open game of the season, and then they say, oh, he's so different. No, he is the same player. So I'll say, look, Reggie Jackson, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't know the players yet. I'll listen to someone what Merlin said. Maybe he doesn't know all of the players as well as he would like to. You know, Marcus Morris is getting adjusted to his teammates. KCP has been a starter in Detroit for practically 3 years. He has played alongside Drummond. His role is the simplest role on the whole team. It's play defense and make open shots. He gets the most open shots on the team. I just feel like if in that last game, if he's able to make 1 or 2 more threes or make a few more extra buckets, play a little bit better defense here, play a little bit better defense there, we win. So, on KCP.
See, my thing is,
where was he in the second half? Was he playing?
Say it again.
Was he playing in the second half at all? Like, I didn't even see him out there. Was he?
Who?
KCP. I was like,
it's called disappearing. It's called being a non-factor. He was out there. He was out there.
I mean, like, seriously, like, if he's out there doing something, you hear his name. I mean, I'm like, where did he go? I mean, like, I'm serious. Like,
no, I'm serious too. That's what I'm trying to say.
I know.
My thing,
that was my biggest gripe on him. And I respect, and I started off the season saying, this is the best KCP we have seen. I started off the season saying that. I said, this is the best, but I said it's early. It's the same way Mike said, Drummond averaging 18 points, it's early. And, now fast forward, here we are 10-game mark. Drummond is still playing at a high level. KCP has dripped all the way off. Marcus Morris.
Is he still averaging that 18 points? Is he still averaging that 18 points?
He's still averaging that 18 points, right?
Barely.
I got the phone conversation,
Barely.
Mike, I got the phone conversation, Mike.
He's sticking to quite a bit of dip. I tell you that right now. I don't know if the 18 points is going to stick.
Hold on.
I don't know if
he went from 20. He went from 20 to 8, look over 18, like I said he would be. He went from 20 to over 18.
I think he's going
to. He did it on the road.
In all honesty, I think he's going to end at 17 something. Like, I don't think he's going to get 18. Like, he's took a big dip.
And he had his worst free throw. And I'll tell you this, I don't believe Drummond he had one game, he went 2 for 13 from the free throw line.
Uh-huh.
That was his worst one. Then he had a game when he went 1 for 6. Then he had a game with the Lakers Clippers. They fouled him, but he made his last 5 of 8.
Okay.
The last
let me get this straight. So let me get this straight. So we are going to say that his 18 points is all going to depend on his free throw shooting. Good luck, sir. Good luck.
No. If you do the math, no. He gets 15 shots a game. No, check it out. 15 shots a game, right? If let's just say he stays at 15 shots a game, he's making half of his 15. So he's making 7 to 8 shots. 7 to 8 shots is 14 to 16 points a game. Off of this, you talking about dunks, putbacks, layups, hook shots. 7 to 8 shots, that's what he's making a game. Now you come back, all he has to make is 4 free throws.
That's a challenge.
Come on, Mike.
That's a challenge.
But I'm just saying, but that's on the low end. That's the low end of. That's what I'm saying. That's just the bottom line average of 7 to 8 shots he'll make.
In these last 4 games, 4 or 5 games, he's been pretty much on the low end.
Right about where I said he would be. He don't even have a passing point guard.
Again, the averages are my favorite right now. So I'm just saying, if you can put
the averages in my favor.
Oh no, the averages are my favorite, bro. He barely even made 18.
You haven't even factored in that Brandon Jennings is not even back yet. That we don't even have a passing point guard yet.
We don't even know if Brandon Jennings is going to come back. Look at me argue against Brandon Jennings. Hey, but in all fairness, going back to KCP, I can't argue with that. Like, I can't argue with that. My biggest issue with KCP is that I praised him, man. Like, I got on this podcast and praised him. And I even had you admit it. You know what I mean? That's my issue with it.
Yeah, you did. I said the best looking KCP I've seen. Yeah,
I know. And then
at that time,
and then he goes and drops a turd. That's my problem. Is that
you want to know what happened? I laid up off of him. I didn't keep attacking him. He's in the group, and I got off of him. And as soon as I lit up off of him, now watch what's going to happen. I'm going to get on him and start trashing him, and then watch him going to go off again.
Yeah,
watch.
I guess so, man. Because like I said, I can't. The problem is I can't defend him. That's my problem. Is that I try to defend him the 1 or 2 times that we came on here, and I did a good job. But the problem is that he's got to keep his end of the bargain. You know what I mean? So it's like anytime, like I can't even stop you from trashing on him. That's my problem. Is that he deserves it, dude. Like he's got into a bad rhythm where he's playing some very bad basketball. And
but I wonder, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and say maybe it's all this West Coast stuff and all this. But it's hard to say it's because this, that, and the third when a player has a history of doing something. And he has a history of doing this. So it's like just like Marcus Morris. Like Marcus Morris has a pattern. He has a history of doing this. So it's hard for me to get up here and be like, oh, it's going to change or they change because of 1 or 2 hot games. When you can literally go back. If you take away those games, their stats drop down even worse. It doesn't level out. You could take away Drummond's 20. You could take away Drummond's 27, 29 rebound game, and then just take that game away. Just totally take that game away, and you average all his other stats in, and he still come up to be about 17, 18 points per game, 17, 18 rebounds per game. You know what I mean? But when you take away Reggie Jackson's 40. All of a sudden, he's not 20 point per game scorer. He's a 17 point per game scorer, and he's shooting not 40%. He's shooting like 38%. If we take away that game when Marcus Morris went 10 for 17, all of a sudden, he's not a 16 point per game scorer. He dropped down to a 14 per game scorer, and his shooting percent drops. You know what I mean? You take away that first opening game with KCP, take that away, there's significant drops. So I just say these players are players with patterns of being inconsistent. So that's the scary part about this team. I mean, my Pistons fan in me was hoping that I was wrong about all 3 of those guys. That's the Pistons fan in me. But the realistic person who knows patterns, something's going to have to click on them. And like I say, it can't be KCP, Marcus Morris, Reggie Jackson had a hot game, but then take 3 games off. And then the worst part is it seems like they've taken them all off together. It's like the whole object is that one person will be able to step up when the other ones are. But it's like they all just kind of like, I've never seen this before. That's why I posted that stat. Like, I've never seen it before where everybody has just gone cold. Like, I've never seen that before. That's why I say I believe there is another side that's coming. Because you can't stay that bad. I mean, they've been bad, and they just can't stay that bad. If not, we right back in the playoffs. We were right back in the draft again. And I don't care if Drummond averaged 20 and 20. If you don't got nobody who can shoot threes, you don't got nobody who can make open jumpers, we're going to be in trouble. So, yeah.
We need some shooters. We need some shooters.
Yep. Good old Meeks. Yep. Everybody want Meeks now. Yep.
No. Is he really that good?
You know what my issue with Meeks is? Here's my issue with Meeks. I feel like he's being used he's not being used properly. And I think that's why he's so inefficient. I think that's why he's so inefficient. He's got a history of being a scorer. You know what I mean? He's got a history of being a scorer, meaning that when you say scorer, he's got multiple ways he can put the ball in the basket. And what we're using him for is we're using him just to spot up shoot. And that's spot up shooting. You know, it sounds simple, but it's a niche skill. You know what I mean? You got to be one of those guys that can just click. You know what I mean? When you got the ball, just click, shoot, click. You know what I mean? Like it clicks in your brain. Shoot it, make it. You know, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but my point is that it's a niche skill. And when you got a scorer, the guy that's used to just putting the ball onto the floor and taking it to the hoop or taking it off the dribble, shooting, whatever, getting the points that he needs to get, and you just force him to say, hey, you know what, just quit all that and just shoot the ball. You know what I mean? It's kind of...
I thought they was using them on curls. Go ahead, Dickie. I'm sorry.
That was me.
Oh, no, I thought like last year they were using him really good on his curl. You know, Meeks is not like, well, Meeks is very fast, but he's not explosive, but he's fast. And he has a way of I don't like that shot. He just looks ugly to me. But he does get into the lane better than any other Pistons shooting guard. And he has a way, other than Reggie Jackson, but he has a way of kind of getting into the lane and have a nice little mid-range. But I think he's a guy, I'm not going to call him a volume shooter, but he's a guy who has proven with the Lakers, he's proven that if he gets enough shots, he can make them. He's the only Pistons shooting guard who has a history to show that I can spend a whole season above 40% three-point shooting. I can spend a whole season above 36 to 37% three-point shooting. No other Pistons shooting guard can even say that. So when people say that, oh, I'm hyping up Meeks, no, I'm saying that players have a pattern of being good at something. Players have a pattern of being KCP pattern of good is his tenacious defense. It's not his offense. We want it to be his offense. That's why when he scores and he does the thing, everybody gets so excited because they're surprised. People don't get surprised when they see. I'm in this area with the Wizards and everything like that. People don't get surprised when Bradley Beal makes an open jumper. People don't get surprised when Bradley Beal goes for 20 points around here. If I say Bradley Beal went for 20 in this area, they just like, oh yeah, Bradley Beal had a big game. If we say KCP have, oh, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, KCP had 20 points. He's the future. He's the future.
I will say this.
Elder,
what I will say this though is, and I know you're not a big fan of that forum of DetroitBadBoys.com. I know you're not a big fan, but those guys are all statistics.
No, they cool, but go ahead.
Those guys are all statistics, guys. Those guys are all all about their numbers as well. You know, I feel like that's why it always surprised me that when you said you're not a big fan of them. But they're even pointing it out right now, man. I was just in their last forum. I was just looking at it, and even they're really ragging on KCP right now about his shooting and all of his flaws. You know what I mean? So it's starting to get around. You know what I mean? That KCP might not be that shooting guard that everybody thinks or wants him to be. You know, so
just remember who said it first.
You know what? I'm not even going to disagree with you, man. Like I said, I've been back and forth on KCP. I think when I noticed it. You know when I noticed it? How bad it was with KCP and the fan base is when we traded for Reggie Jackson. And immediately Reggie Jackson was laying a turd. And people were bagging on Reggie. This is like similar to how what's going on right now. People are really not happy with Reggie. And I remember it being the same way when we got him. And people were just not happy with him. And then all of a sudden, a month later, he starts turning it up and turning it on. And I'm like, and everybody's like, well, screw Jennings, this and this and this and that. And I'm just like, okay, so why can't we just play them both? And then they're like, well, Jennings can come off the bench. And I'm like, well, why don't you just have Jennings start at point guard and have Reggie play shooting guard? They're like, well, where are we going to put KCP? I'm like, and this is before we got Stanley Johnson and all the depth. And I'm just like, well, why don't we switch? Why don't we shift him over to small forward? He's too small to play the small forward. He's too this. And I'm like, well, then let's get a real small forward and put KCP on the bench. And then, boom! I'm just like bombarded with people hating. Like, there's no way you can put KCP on the bench. KCP is an all-star shooting guard. The next Michael Jordan. Are you kidding me? I'm just like, holy crap, what the hell did I just open up? Like, that's when it hit me how big of a fan base KCP really had. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Have you seen the guy's averages? Like, he is not that great of a shooting guard. He's athletic, I give him that. He stays in front of his man, I give him that. But he doesn't play make. He doesn't he has one or two good games in like two or 3 months, and then that's it. Like not discrediting you, and not saying that you didn't notice it first, but I feel like I was one of the first people to really like brush the dirt off the rock as well. Like I didn't feel like I don't think I ever got into the KCP hype at all. I really feel like I feel like I was one of the first people as well to just kind of like.
I think that we simultaneously. I think me, you, and Edwin kind of started it, but I went a little bit harder. Like I kept it in front people.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, you guys said it, but in that group, I was saying that group, and when I was in the Detroit Nation thing for a little bit, I just kept in front people because people would say something, and I'd be like, "Well, look at this. Explain this. Look at this. Explain this." And I think it just irritated people, and they're like, they don't really have no answer for it.
Right.
I think they felt like they had no answer for it, so it gets to, oh, he has so much. He's only 22, and he has so much potential. Look at his game last year when he shut down Harden, and then I looked it up. He didn't even shut down Harden that game. And like, no, the year before, like, his rookie year, he played Harden really well. But like, we latch on to these moments with these players, just like Marcus Morris. Like all of a sudden, Marcus Morris is untouchable. You know what I mean? He only had 10 games as a Piston, but if I went on there and said, we need to trade Marcus Morris, and I would trade him for, this type of player, because he would fit here really good. You're crazy to trade Marcus Morris. He's a beast. Like, he had one good game, but we get so attached. And I tell you, I feel like.
And by the way, before you go on to the next point, I'll let you finish your point. But by the way, about the whole thing about me and Marcus Morris is that I don't really feel like a trade is really necessary right now. That's what I'm saying.
Oh no! I don't think so either.
When me and you were going back and forth earlier today, it wasn't me being attached to Marcus Morris. It was more of me saying, like, I don't think it's really necessary to make that kind of move yet. You know what I mean? Like I don't have any attachment to Marcus Morris. I feel like he had a great few games, and I feel like if he is getting cold, he's getting cold. But at the same time, you got to expect him to start leveling out his game, his gameplay just because of his past. You know what I mean? He's never really dipped into those kind of percentages in his whole career. So you got to expect it to come back up some sooner or later to where it just averages out again. But my thing is that with anybody on the team, if I suggest any trade, it's not really. It's just throwing the idea out there. It's not really pressing the panic button. It's just like, hey, what about so and so for this? Because every trade that everybody suggested is like, well, we should trade Spencer Dinwiddie. Well, he set the bench the last 5 games, or we should trade Steve Blake, who's turned the ball over 5 times.
We should trade Anthony Tillman for a first-round draft pick.
For a first-round draft. I'm just like, you guys don't understand trade value. What's going on here? Like, none of these guys have any freaking value. If you want to get something, you're not going to get this. You're not going to get the trades of the second-round draft pick in 2020 and get a gold mine back every single time. That just does not happen. You got to trade guys of value, and that's the reason why we don't have DJ Augustine and Kyle Single anymore, because we had to trade guys that had some value to get something back. You know what I mean? So like when I put out a trade suggestion, or I agreed with the trade, was like, hey, like maybe we could do Marcus Morris and beef up our bench a bit, and everybody's going ballistic. It's like, dude, I'm not saying that he needs to be traded. I'm just throwing the idea out there that, you know, we have other things that we need to fix on this roster, and giving up something may help solidify it in the future.
Now, you know, I agree with you, and I think you and we kind of think alike. So even like when me and you disagree, it stays with a certain level of respect, because I know you come from that. So even I said a little thing to you about Marcus Morris and I wouldn't even associate that with you because I already know how you think.
Right.
But a lot of people, when I say, and I even said it, I said, I'm just venting. I said, warning or whatever, I'm just venting. Trade Marcus Morris. What? You're insane. Why would you get rid of him? He's a beast. He's a monster. And then the person's like, oh, he's nasty on the block. So then I show the stats. He shoots 31% in the paint. Oh, but he does this for threes. Oh, really? Look at this percentage here. Oh, but he's been so hot. Really? You know, like, but to me, it's always about, I mean, part of that board stuff, that's just me just saying stuff sometimes, but there's stuff behind it. Like, I wouldn't say trade Marcus Morris if Marcus Morris was playing well. I was like, oh, we got his gym. Like, when he played well in the first 4 games, oh, this is a steal, considering we got him for a future second-round draft pick. Like, we lost nothing to get him. Like, I would never be mad that we have him on the team because he's cheap. We didn't give up nothing to get him. And it's not like years later we're going to look at the second-round draft pick. I don't care if somebody in the second round they draft the next Mono Ginobili.
Or the next like Gilbert Arenas.
That could have been our, you know what I mean? That could have been our pick, you know. You know, it's the odds. And so I don't even care about the second-round draft pick or everything. What I do care about is if he's taking minutes, if he's doing the same type of production that Stanley Johnson would do in the same, I'd rather Stanley Johnson play.
I agree.
I'd rather Stanley Johnson shoot 20% for threes and 36% from the field and go 0 for 6 for threes. I'd rather see Stanley Johnson do it and get the learning and the development over 30-plus minutes a game than Marcus Morris do it, who's 26, 27 years old, who should know better, and there's no retraining him. So I just feel that's the part that gets me. It's like, when I say put him on the bench, I'm saying let's put in Stanley Johnson to the Stanley Johnson because he can't do any worse. Like, Stanley Johnson hasn't come in, he's not going to do any worse. So, and it bothers me that. Oh, go ahead, Vicky.
No, go ahead. It's a kind of a different topic.
Oh, I just want to say, and I'll finish it up, is that my concern with Marcus Morris was what I thought from the beginning. He's playing small forward like full time. Like previously, I think Marcus Morris was only averaging maybe about 23 minutes a game or something like that. I'll have to look it up. But he wasn't playing like heavy minutes a game. He was averaging like maybe 20-some minutes a game, maybe 23, 25 minutes a game. Now he's gone from that to almost 37, 38 minutes a game. So that's a different level of on your body. That's a different level on your legs. It's a different level mentally. So I feel like maybe he's not in condition to play those type of minutes as small forward when you are guarding Rudy Gay. Like last night he was guarding Kobe. The other night he wasn't even on like Blake Griffin. He was on I can't think of the guy's name.
I will add to that. I guarantee you his legs are not ready for 40 minutes a night on an 82-game basis at small forward.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I say that, the reason why I'm going to co-sign this is because prior to being in Detroit, what was he? What was he prior to being
a bench player?
Huh?
A bench player tweener.
That's the word, a tweener. His legs were meant to play all forward positions, not just small forward.
Mm-hmm.
Because now when he's playing small forward, now he's getting matched up with shooting guards as well. So it's like, I guarantee you his legs are not ready for this. They're still adjusting. So yeah, I'm gonna co-sign that. I definitely am, because he's definitely. I guarantee you he's just not ready to pick up that kind of load at small forward. And it's adjustment.
You can't.
It's an adjustment, in my opinion. It's adjustment.
I agree. No, I was just noticing with the sixth game. It seemed that we did better when somebody on the team had something to prove to the other team. This is really off topic, really extremely off topic. But Marcus Morris had the whole Phoenix thing, and that was emotional. We all saw that kind of fall out, and just kind of rallied behind it. And then Portland, I guess that was Steve Blake's old team. Maybe had something to prove to them. We had a little bit of moxie in that game, and then all of a sudden it was like, I mean, I didn't see that. I'm like, so do we have to have like a personal vendetta for every game that we play?
I wish Drummond had a vendetta against DeMarcus Cousins.
I do too. Because I did. I was like, seriously, I hate that guy. But I was just like, it seemed like once we didn't really have they didn't have a personal beef with a certain team. I was kind of like, okay. I mean, I could understand Golden State. Tolliver's a friend of Steph Curry's. Apparently they went out to dinner afterwards. And then the next thing I know, Tolliver's making 3-pointers in the first period. I'm like, wow, maybe Steph told him something. Wow. So usually he makes his 3-pointers like later on if they are to be made, but he's making them pretty early. But I didn't see that same fire. And maybe some of that was SCG related. These are people that I'm not really fans of. So I hate to say a lot to blame them, because I'll go crazy blaming them. This is what I do when I'm not on the conference call. But when you guys aren't around. But I just didn't see that same, we have something to prove. And even the Josh Smith was on the Clippers. Like, I forgot about that. And I was like, oh, fuck. I forgot about him. You're on the Clippers now. So maybe he even had, I don't know what his stats were like against us, because did I watch that? I don't think I could finish it. It was just too late.
They probably
was tired.
The KCPs. Oh, the thing.
And KCP, what to say? I mean, I seriously thought he had just sat down for the rest of the game. I really did not remember hearing about him in the second half at all. So,
you want to hear about the next game? I'm going to be talking about him all day for the rest of tonight.
All day? You do that. So you give him that chip. You give him that chip.
Watch the game he has.
Well, he'll have his house shoes on, so be careful.
You do it, because he seems to react. So maybe he listens.
Be careful.
All right, guys. I gotta get ready to go. I'm gonna do another 10-game challenge thing. That's already won the last one.
You probably
do another.
Nobody won.
Nobody won.
Oh.
You're probably gonna have to start it tonight. Tonight you're gonna have to start it, right?
We talk about for tomorrow.
Yeah, because next 10 games starts tomorrow.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna start posting it between tonight and tomorrow, and let people start to inbox us. I thought it was nice. We got like a few people who came across and gave a work out. Jamal, he got the furthest. He lost when we lost to the Kings. When we lost to the Kings, that was when he.
How do you go about winning this again? How do you go about winning? Like if you're the only person left, then how do you go about winning?
You gotta finish your record.
You gotta what?
Hold on, what are you saying?
I'm saying I don't know which Jamal you're talking about, but you said Jamal was the only person.
Oh, Rucker.
Yeah, but
Jamal Rucker.
Virginia.
But he was the only person left. If he's the only person
Mm-hmm.
left, how did he not just win by default?
No, you gotta do because it's about the record. It's not about winning, beating everybody else. It's about you winning the record up to that 10-game mark.
Oh, dude, are you saying that he got almost every single one right?
He just missed it at the Kings game. That's the only game he missed.
Oh, that's so. Oh, damn! I cannot believe someone had. He called everyone.
He called every game except for the Kings game.
Dude, you don't realize how jealous I am right now, man. I thought I had a really good one. Oh, jeez. Ouch. That one hurt.
I think he had the.
That one hurts.
Nobody had it. Nobody had it. I think everybody had us beating the Lakers. Everybody had us beating the Lakers, so that would have messed up anybody from a perfect record. But yeah, he got all the way to the Kings game, and then that was it. That was the one he lost. He had us beating the Kings.
And then did he have us beating the Clippers and the Lakers, or he had those two off as well?
I have to go look. He had us losing to the Clippers and beating the Lakers.
See, I thought it was the way I originally said it. I thought it was if they had if you outbeat everybody else, you win by default.
Nope.
You got to get them all right. So I put out.
Get them all right.
I put out another 10-gamer a couple weeks ago, but I'm gonna rechange that one. I'm gonna change that one. I have another 10-gamer floating around there, so if you guys run across that one, it's the one with us beating the Cavs. I'm gonna have to change that one. I think we're gonna take an L tomorrow, but
I think we're gonna beat them. I think we're gonna win.
Oh, you think we're gonna win?
Yeah, because I think Stan's gonna have I think Reggie Jackson had like a 30-point game.
I think it's possible. I really do. I think Reggie's gonna put some faith into everybody, and he's gonna have a 30-point game, and it'll be the last 30-point game we see from him until February.
I'm gonna go on a limb. I'm gonna go on the Reggie Jackson limb right now.
Okay.
I think he's gonna have these next 3 games. I think he's gonna play real crazy. I can see him averaging now his win stats when we win. He averages around 25 points a game. At home, of course, we play more on the road than we played at home.
Yep.
At home, he also plays really, really well. So I think that he's going to be very dynamic at home. And I'm also going to bank on KCP and Marcus Morris coming live. I just think that simultaneously, they're all going to kind of come back. And I believe Drummond's going to stay what Drummond's been doing. His 18-plus points per game and 16 to 17 rebounds. I think that he's going to stay who he is. And I think those other players come alive around him. And I think that the Spencer Dinwiddie, what he did that last game, I believe it's going to roll over. I just seen something very different about Spencer Dinwiddie. He looked like he just got it. Sometimes players just look like they totally figured it out. And he just looked like he figured it out. He just looked like he just got it. Sometimes you never know when that light switch goes off on a player. I hope it's just not a momentum thing, but it just seemed like that light switch went off. Even when he was taking open jumpers, those are shots he normally passed on. When he was aggressive, those times he wasn't aggressive. He wasn't playing out of control. He just seemed like he just got it. And if he can take that role of coming off the bench and being that spark and we can get some production from our normal scores, I just think that we have all the tools to kind of have a really good week. I just think we'll have a really good bounce back week. So
he took some difficult shots and made them, so I was kind of impressed by that. There's a few baseline turnaround baseliners with a hand in his face.
Mm-hmm.
He knocked down. I was like, okay, Spencer, what's going on there? What's going on in that doghouse? Someone feeding you your Wheaties over there? Cause shoot, I don't remember all this.
Steve Blake can go out there and shoot crap. I can too.
You said what?
He's like, if Steve Blake can get out there and take a whole bunch of bad shots, I guess I can go out there too. Can't be no worse than Steve Blake. Can't be. I mean, that's a great mindset. Like, you ever see somebody who really can't dance at a party, and you know you can't dance well, but you say, I won't be worse. If I get on the dance floor, I won't be worse than that person. I believe that that's what he saw. I believe he sat on that bench, and he watched Steve Blake. He said, I am better than Steve Blake. I think he said in his head, like, I'm better than Steve Blake. Like, he can't say that about Jennings. He can't look at Jennings and say, I'm better than Jennings. Or he can't look at Reggie Jackson and say, I'm better than Reggie Jackson. But to see Steve Blake out there, he's like, I'm better than Steve Blake. So I think we saw that. That just made a little light switch go off in his head.
I'm not even going to argue with that. That's like kind of legit. I think he sat on the bench. He watched Steve Blake stink it up for like 5 games, and he was heated. He was pissed. He's like, I cannot believe I'm getting benched for this guy. I think you're onto something here. I really do, because I'm thinking he's like, I cannot believe this guy is starting over me. I can't believe I let this guy take my spot. I can't believe I let another 34 plus year old point guard take my spot again.
He can't show his face back in the hood. Like, I can't show my face back in the hood. Like, I can't go back on the playground and talk trash because I just got replaced by Steve Blake.
I got replaced by 40. I got replaced by John Lucas, and now I got replaced by Steve Blake. Right. I can't believe what's going on.
You see his face? He was like super serious. Like, that game, he didn't smile. Nothing. He was just like so focused.
He was in the zone.
He was super serious. Like,
he was in the zone, man.
Yeah, it was like, I'm not going back to the bench. Like, I'm not going back to the bench for Steve Blake.
You know what the other thing is?
Did you guys hear his interview?
You know what the other thing is?
Did you hear his interview afterwards?
No, I didn't.
What did he say?
No, it was like really mature. Like, he was like, we gotta get some shots down. We have to we have to get better shooting, and like, our defense is solid. It's not perfect, but it's solid, and we have to get some better shots down. And he was just like, I was like, I agree with everything you said. I agree with everything. It wasn't just BS answers. He was just like, yeah, that's how it is. Yeah, we do. And I was just like, oh, Spencer, yay.
Let me ask this question.
You have a thumbs up.
I want to throw this out here and then let you guys go.
Hold on.
I'm going to say we are going to.
One more thing. I want to say this. It's kind of a joke, but it's kind of going off of the Steve Blake, John Lucas thing. But the other thing that he's probably thinking in his head is like, I cannot believe I'm still being benched for my play in the summer league. That was 4 months ago. That was 4 months ago, and I'm still being punished. Oh my God!
Yeah,
you gotta think about it. Stan hasn't really gave him any type of leash since the summer league. So, yes.
They give my boy such a hard time.
I'm
all on the Spencer. I'm on the Spencer Dinwiddie bandwagon. I'm back. I'm not on. I'm pulling the bandwagon. I'm pulling it. But okay. Well, last joke.
Last joke. He's probably thinking, he's like, I cannot believe Michael Campbell talks about me like I'm Cartier Barton. This is so fucked up.
Yeah. He might be in the group too. He might just join the group too.
Okay.
All the people in the group to get all with Charlotte. But I do have a question though. Do you think that this is just throwing something out there. Now, just throwing it out there. This is kind of like not even right now, just down the line. If KCP continues to struggle, now these are the ifs, so this is the if world. If KCP continues to struggle, when Jennings comes back, and if Spencer Dinwiddie continues to play well, do you think eventually there could be a rotation of Spencer Dinwiddie moving more to the shooting guard role and KCP losing out to Spencer Dinwiddie?
No.
Yeah.
No.
No?
Well, I mean, you said go ahead and you give your reason. I'll give mine.
Me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, he's better. I mean, like, if KCP's not really going to produce an offense anymore, I mean, I'm literally watching him just become defensive. I'm like, I appreciate the defense, but you still have to score sometimes. Most of the time, it'd be consistent. So I'm just like, if that scenario holds true, if is doing well and Brandon Jennings is back and he's healthy and he's doing well, but KCP is kind of like, I'm just never going to shoot another three again. I'm like, if he gets worse, I don't know why not. I mean, if you said he was a shooting guard before, right? He used to shoot all the time. Is that okay? Well, then absolutely switch him around. I don't know the rules though. I don't know about the politics of basketball. So to me, I'm just like, yeah, do it if he's better. I need these questions. Okay.
I'm gonna say no. Because and you're gonna disagree with me, Elda, but.
I'm just throwing out as a question.
You're gonna disagree, but KCP brings more to the table than Spencer Dinwiddie in overall sense. I don't think Spencer Dinwiddie is that great of a defender. He lets smaller guys blow past him at the point guard position. Obviously, everybody's real big on Spencer after last night, but. Casey brings a little bit more. And I don't see
even if he continues to struggle.
Yeah,
even if he continues to struggle offensively.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I don't think Stan Van Gundy's ready to give up on KCP just yet. I think Stan really likes him for whatever reason, and he's willing to still ride him out. I think. And the other thing is that, and I meant to bring this up in topic with Merlin on. So this is going to be two topics merged into one. Because the scenario is when Jennings comes back, correct? So that reminded me of the topic I wanted to bring up with Merlin, but he's gone now. So what I want to say is that everybody's got a real good point with Jennings coming back, and I know Dickie, myself, and the other Jennings fans are really excited. But the point is that we have no idea how Jennings is going to come back. Is he going to come back healthy? Is he going to take how many months is he going to take before he's really running at full speed? That's a legitimate question. That's a legitimate, even for me, that's a legitimate question, and I have no idea. Like I know I'm pulling the hype train with Jennings over Reggie right now, but I just want people to realize that Reggie's just really not that player that people think he is. But at the same time, Jennings might not be the player that I think he is when he comes back. So with that being said, we really will need Spencer to really pick up his play, just so it's not Jennings backing up Reggie full time. Spencer's going to need to put some minutes in there too to help ease Jennings back into the groove of things. So he's still going to need a point guard.
Yeah, I think the only thing that Jennings brings that it's very true. It really doesn't rely on. Now, of course, there's a time they getting used to. Let's just say they put him in the backcourt with Reggie Jackson. You get used to certain things. You got to catch up a certain speed of the game, But Jennings has elite court vision and elite passing ability.
Absolutely.
Elite. You don't certain things you don't lose because you may lose a step.
And
one more step to be able to get you. Yeah.
And one more thing. He's got elite ball handling skills.
Yeah. So he has 3 elite skills that are now his. And if here's my if he goes back to where he ended last year, we saw this is like Jin and Super Saiyan versus what we saw all with the Bucks in his first year in Detroit. Like he's a totally different point guard. He was shooting a higher percent. He was shooting and he was shooting a realistic percent. He wasn't shooting 49% where you said, "Oh my God, there's gonna be a drop off." He was shooting 44%. He was shooting
There was games.
Go ahead.
There was games where he looked like Steph Curry out there, man. It just looked like he was throwing shots. I mean, and people are gonna argue with that all day long. But I mean, there was games where I'm just like, holy shit! He didn't even look at the basket before he shot that. Didn't even look. He just tossed it up and swish. And literally, he was doing this game after game after game. And, people were all hyped. But as soon as he gets injured, man, it's time to get rid of him now. It's bound to happen. And
but isn't it? But that's the way.
I just want to strangle. I just want to strangle people. But yeah, I'm just but my point is that you're right. He was just in a different. He is in a different world, man.
Yeah, so
I hate that people
skills.
Yeah, go ahead. My bad.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I just think that those skills. No, I think those skills he has, they just don't go. Even if they say he loses a step, I don't think they go away. It's not like he's gonna be all of a sudden he's gonna be what's called Raymond Felton out there, and he's just gonna be slow and he's gonna lose a step. He may go to where Darren Williams. Darren Williams lost a step, but Darren Williams so heavily relied on his athletic ability to get him high points. He was so relied on that ability. So when he lost a step, it was crucial for him. Jalen loses a step. Jalen is still going to be masterful at pick and roll. He's still going to get into the lanes with a dribbling because his handles is not going to go nowhere. Yep. So I always believe he's going to be effective, for a while, even if he loses a step. But I guess my part for Spencer Dinwiddie is, and once again, this is just one game. That's why I say this is the world. If Spencer Dinwiddie, in my opinion, I always say a good offensive player is always better than a good defensive player. He will bring more to the table for the sense that off the ball, someone like Reggie Jackson, off the ball, he can still help facilitate offense, and you don't lose nothing as far as size in your backcourt. Spencer Dinwiddie struggles with small point guards who are explosively fast. When he matches up against shooting guards, he's okay because unless he's going against an elite shooting guard like a Dwayne Wade or somebody very elite, then he may struggle. But overall, I think he struggles against a guy like Schroeder. He'll struggle against a guy like Jeff Teague. He will struggle against those type point guards. But I think if you move him over to shooting guard, I think he'll be okay. And I just always believe a shooting guard who can kind of get his own shot from anywhere on the floor is more deadly than just a 3D guy who needs to be set up for most of his shots. KCP needs to be set up for most of his shots. And that's the problem. I mean, we've seen him put the ball on the floor once or twice a game more than what he did his whole career. But he's not consistently taking his man off the dribble, creating offense, breaking down the defense. He just, that little floater he's added, which is nice, but it's not going to win you games. You know what I mean? So, it was just a scenario question. It wasn't nothing like, bench him for him. Just a scenario of how long do we see KCP shoot 30% for three, 30% for three, 40% from the field? How long does Stan Van Gundy let that run before he has to really start to make some serious consideration?
I'll be honest.
Why don't you make a call?
I'll be honest with you. I think that could potentially run into next season. I'll be really honest with you. I know, but I don't see. but I don't see Stan Van Gundy giving up hope on KCP at all. Like, I don't see it, man. Like, as much as, like,
Maybe he reminds him of Courtney Lee.
Yeah, honestly, or Michael Petrus, or any of the other scrub 3-point shooters.
You don't think that Michael Petrus was a ball handler, though? You know what I mean? He could handle the ball a little bit. It's like, that's the part that gets me. Like, these other players, they just could do so much more than KCP on it. They make the most of it. And I don't know. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I keep saying I hope I'm wrong about it. But as of now, it just looks like he just doesn't get it. And he'll end up being a journeyman who's just a scrappy defender who can make threes every once in a while. So,
but I'll be honest with you. I think the 30%. Wow, I'm echoing pretty bad. I'm not sure who that is. But do you guys hear me echo?
no.
Okay.
I heard it, but I'm muted.
Yeah. Okay. So basically,
Are you still echoing?
Yeah, I think the 40% field goal percentage and the 30% three-point percentage. How long could that go for, dude? I think that could go into next year. I really do.
Mm.
But you know what? On the bright side, I think KCP has a niche in the mid-range game. I really do. I think he has a niche there. I think that's something that he could work on and really make it his own, in my opinion. The way he shot the ball these last several games, and I'm not sure what his numbers were the last 2 games, but the last several games, he shot the ball insanely well, 16 feet and in, 17 feet and in.
I seen one stat when I was looking up stuff earlier. He shoots like 46% for twos. So that's pretty solid.
It is pretty solid. It's not bad. You know, I really, and I think it doesn't deviate much from 2 feet in to 16 feet in, which is huge, man. Because like you can shoot 46% 3 feet in, and you know not do jack outside of 10 feet. You know, like any good center can do that. But
yeah, actually 47%.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, it's like he's got it going on, going 15 and 16 feet out. So he's still got that going for him. I really, as much as you guys and I kind of see his flaws.
Well, now looking at his stats, not so much, Mike.
Okay, what do you see? Because he was shooting the ball. He was shooting the ball really well.
Yeah, I was just looking at his stats. Now, from when he gets inside the lane, like he gets in 10 feet, like gets under the free throw line, he's shooting 57%,
okay,
which is really good. But when he takes jumpers from 16 to before, 16 to whatever it was, 24 feet, that's right before the 3-point line. From the 3-point line, from the 10 feet extended right before the 3-point line, he shoots about 30, I would say, looking at this, roughly about 36%. And for jumpers altogether, he's shooting 35%.
Where are you viewing your numbers at?
On Basketball Reference, they break it down for jump shots and his range and everything.
Is that in the advanced stats?
Just go to shooting. If you go to the site and you go to the player, you go to shooting.
Yeah.
It breaks it down.
Yeah. I was just looking at it the other day, and his numbers were a little higher. So I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm just saying. So his it's kind of like he does well on those little runners and floaters, because that's what he's really added to his game. But as far as really taking mid-range jumpers and jump shots and all of that, and what's considered a jump shot, he's about 35%. So his real elevation in his game, the real thing that increased in his game, was him getting into the paint, like into the painted area and finishing. I have to look at what he did last year to what he did now, but he looked like he's just, once again, we 10 games in, but he's finishing better than he did last year, which is interesting. But last year, the same thing from within 3 feet, like getting within that 3 to 10 feet, he shot 26%. And then he shot a little bit better for the jumpers last year. He shot like 44%.
What's he shooting?
So he shot a little bit better.
What's he shooting from 3 right now? Is he shooting 30% from 3?
Yeah, he's shooting 30% for 3.
Yeah. I cannot believe this guy. Do you remember the guy that, oh man, he came onto the forum a couple of weeks ago. I haven't seen him since, but he has the nerve to tell me I don't know the numbers. I was so irritated by that because I misunderstood what he said, and he's like, because I thought he was referring from the season before, and I'm just like, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. That's from the season before. He's like, no, I meant last year, whatever it was. But then he's like,
I can't hear you, Mike.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me
a
now?
little bit close to your mic.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
I hear you now.
Yeah, okay. So he had the nerve to say that I didn't know the numbers, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Have you been in any of these KCP debates, man? I've been on the front line arguing these numbers. You know what I mean?
Man,
and then he's like he'll improve his 3-point percentage. You don't worry about that. And like at the time he was 32. I don't think he'll average 33% this year. At the end of the day, I think he'll be around 31%, 32% 3-point shooter at the end of the year.
I'm saying this, if KCP, I don't care what he does for 2. I'm gonna be very honest, and this is gonna be my closing remark. And I hate to make it about KCP. Once again, I do think we're gonna have we are gonna beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I'm gonna talk bad about KCP. So I think he's gonna have a good game, but I think that if he does not shoot over 35%, 36%, I wouldn't re-sign him. I wouldn't do it. To me, you're wasting. You're ready to waste money. He hasn't made this extreme aggression of getting better. Even with his defense, even if you want to say that he's a very good defender, he's costing you on offense at such a high rate because he plays so many minutes and he takes a bulk of shots. So it gets to the point where you have to make a better determination of what you want your team to look like in the future. And I'm just not. First 4 games, I was like, okay, KCP. This is the best KCP I've seen. 10 games in now, I'm looking at it like this is the same KCP. Matter of fact, he's the worst KCP. This is like offensively. Defensively, I would say he's picked it up a notch. But offensively, this is the worst KCP we've seen. Yes, he's getting to the lanes more, but it's not even really game-changing. Game-changing is you can do it back to back to back. What you don't see from him, you don't see him take it off the dribble one time down the court and then do it, and then come back again and then do it again. You see him do it in the first quarter, do it in the third quarter, then you may do a fast break and get it in the fourth quarter. So to me, that's not consistent. To me, consistently breaking down your players that you can put the ball in your shooting guard hand, clear out in ISO, and tell them to go. You can't do that with him. And we need a shooting guard who can consistently put up points. And I keep saying that shooting guard is so important to this offense because that's where the ball swings to more often. KCP gets more open looks than any other Piston. He gets the most open looks. 30% is not going to do it.
Nope.
It's just not.
Nope.
So,
but
all right, guys, I got to get ready to get out of here.
But SVG likes him.
You got a closing one? You got a closing remark?
My only closing remark is that I agree 100% with everything you said, but the only thing that matters is that SVG likes him.
Yeah, you're right.
SVG likes him, and when I say SVG plays favorites, he plays favorites.
Mm-hmm.
That's my closing remark.
Well, I'm already doing my stat about KCP. All right, guys.
All right, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for coming on again. We'll do it again.
All right, talk to you guys later.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye.